Good morning. Welcome, everyone. We're here for combined meetings of the Tulsa Airport Improvement Trust special meeting and the Tulsa Airport Authority regular meeting, November 10th, 2022. It is 8:30 a.m. and I'll call the meeting to order. First off, we need to approve the minutes of our October 13th, 2022 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Financial and operating reports.
Thank you. Because Jeff is out, I'm acting as secretary and I just realized I guess we are recording it though, so that's always the fault. Appreciate you all being here. I have a lot of great news to share today. The first is last month I shared with you that our marketing team was recognized by ACI for several projects that they had worked on last year, and we were a finalist. We actually won first place in that competition for one of the awards, and we were up against 3 large hub airports, Miami, Milwaukee, and Phoenix.
Really?
And we won for the work that they did to partner with air carriers, American and Southwest in this case, for Aviation Day work. So kudos to Andrew and his team for the work that they did and coordinating that event. And it's always nice to win up against large hub carriers. Not that we're competitive or large hub airports, but we are a little competitive. Last month we did work with Breeze to announce new nonstop service to Orlando that's going to start on March 1st. They're going to fly into Orlando International. You know, we have Allegiant that goes to Orlando Sanford. They're going to do twice weekly service, and Breeze is the carrier that has the nicest, but they've been known for providing a really nice product at an affordable price. And so that will be our 27th destination, the most that we've ever had out of Tulsa. And it's just a reflection of our continued success and then the fact that our employment numbers are strong. We're competing well against other airports across the country. So kudos to Andrew. I did ask Andrew to provide an update to you all about the New York launch, because New York is probably the biggest market that's launched since last year when we launched DC. But it has gone really well, and he has some exciting news to share.
All right, so just a couple slides here of pictures from the launch. Thank you, Jeff, for coming out and supporting the nonstop. Fun time in the morning, even though it was, 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning.
It was early.
It was an early one, but we had the DC flight going out right next to it, so it was kind of cool to see some of our biggest successes right next to each other. The media came out. We had 3 stations. Tulsa World came and covered it, and just had a really great time in the morning for that launch. So we've had 2 different campaigns running. First, what we did was we were calling it our vacation station, where we had the station you can see up there on the top that we took around to different events in the community. We took it to a TU football game. We took it to the state fair, to a FC Tulsa game, to Oktoberfest and the Tulsa Run. And it was an opportunity for people to come in, take a selfie, tag themselves, and share the word about the new nonstop and have a chance to win a nonstop to New York City. So it was great. We had over almost nearly 17,000 engagements on that alone. Over 1.3 million impressions at those events that I mentioned. And then we also had a lot of local media covering it as well. So just over 3.5 million total impressions and engagements on this campaign, which we were really excited about. And then in conjunction with that, we're also running a digital campaign right now that you might have seen from October through December. And in the first month, we had over 4 million impressions. Our click-through rate was 1.32%, which might seem low, which is actually quite high for a digital campaign at a very low cost per click. So we're really excited about the results that we've seen at that. The community is really excited, and American told us that for November, in our first month of service, we are the 4th strongest revenue performing market out of LaGuardia. So really excited to see that that's doing really well, and hopefully that will be continuing in the future. So as Alexis mentioned, now we're up to 27 nonstops out of Tulsa, and hopefully we can get some more.
Yeah, it's great when you have a new market that does so well so quickly out of the gate. Traditionally airlines expect a ramp up period for new service as the community becomes familiar. And the fact that we did this campaign, we used money that we provide to American to help get the word out. And American directs how those funds are spent, but it was a great partnership between us and them. And clearly it's been effective. And so we're going to continue to monitor it and promote it because we want it to be successful in the long run. And just appreciate Americans' investment in Tulsa to provide this service and look forward to future opportunities. Our success begets more success in the future, right?
Yeah.
So thank you, Andrew, for sharing that. A couple of other updates. I wanted to talk about something that has come up a lot recently, and that's aviation education. I've been participating in aerospace forum. There's the Tulsa Aerospace Council. Everyone's talking about workforce needs. And it's becoming apparent that we as the airport are kind of the center hub of aviation activity. It would make sense, right? And so what can we do to really support the industry in their effort to build a pipeline? And one of the things that we've done in the past that I'm seeing us become more engaged in is providing tour opportunities, but specifically targeting those tour opportunities to students who already have an interest in STEM, robotics, and aviation. And so last week, Patty had a group of students here from Union's Career Connect program. And these are students that already have like a technology aptitude, that they're looking at their options. They could be future airport employees or airline employees. And I think she had about 30 of those students, right, all together?
Yeah, 40.
40, okay. This week, or yesterday, actually, Cole hosted a group from Claremore. These are middle schoolers who are robotics and STEM students. And then next week, I'll be hosting the Union High School students, East Central High School students. East Central has an aviation program that they're building, that this year is with 9th graders, and the next year they'll be 9th and 10th. And each year they're going to add another year. So they'll have a 4-year program for students that come into that school that really get them engaged in the industry. Their focus here next week is going to be on ramp operations, fueling, tie down, all of the FBO operations. And so I think we're going to see the airport team really become engaged more with our community partners so that we can help make sure the people who live here and around the airport know that there are many career opportunities available here. And so as we look into our strategic plan and our business plan for next year, more than likely, you're going to see us be more engaged in the education component. And there are several events coming up that I just wanted to mention. November 14th through 18th, we're going to have a TSA pre-check enrollment here at the airport. So it's never been more convenient to get your pre-check. I'm signed up for Monday morning. Wednesday, November 30th, we're doing a DBE outreach event. So DBE is Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, so small minority-owned businesses, providing them information so they can become engaged in airport contracting opportunities. December 8th, which is our next board meeting date, we're having our ambassador luncheon that day at 11:30. If you guys are interested in attending that, you're more than welcome to. And then December 9th is the Oklahoma Women in Aviation Day. It's hosted in Tulsa this year. It's the largest gathering of aviation professionals and students in the state of Oklahoma. It was in Oklahoma City last year. It's exciting that Tulsa Tech is the host sponsor and Spirit Aerosystems is the presenting sponsor of this event. And looking forward to attending that and the exposure it'll give Tulsa for our state.
Where's that going to be held?
At Tulsa Tech at Riverside. And then finally, I just want to mention and thank our team for their contributions to our United Way campaign. We have really put a focus. In fact, Paul has really kind of led that effort, and we increased our contributions as an organization by 93%. Our average employee amount of donation is $166 when you take everything in. Paul gave a challenge to the team because we thought we were close to 20,000 and he thought we could get there. So he said if we could raise a few more thousand, he'd shave his head, hence.
It's growing very fast.
So we did that at an all-employee meeting last Friday as kind of our wrap-up of that meeting, but it was a group effort. Every department hosted an event throughout the year. We kind of spread our events out so our employees don't have to do everything within a short time period. And so it was a lot of fun. It provides our employees an opportunity to do something that to get engaged with each other. And we had 12 employees give it the 1% of their pay level. And I just am super proud of them and appreciate their commitment to our community. So I wanted to mention that and thank Paul also for his role in helping promote that and its success. So, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Fabio.
Good morning. Today I'm going to go over September 2022 compared to September 21. These are the first 3 months of our new fiscal year. And as you can see, our revenues are coming in strong. We're about 21% stronger this September over last, and carrying the momentum from the summer of our close of our previous fiscal year into this fiscal year with about a 16% increase from the same time of 21. Expenses coming in a little higher. We have inflation costs, supply chain issues, utility increases that all attribute to that increase. But we're within budget, and we'll get to that shortly. Netting about a 40% increase in our net operating income before depreciation, and 16% stronger than we were in previous years. Now, this net will go towards debt service and capital purchases. It alleviates our cash on hand. Looking at our revenues, our food and beverage revenues, those are up, doing well, continuing the trend. September was a really strong month for the airport. It was probably our strongest September since I think it was 2007. So we are seeing some really high numbers driven by the passenger activity. Food and beverage doing well, both in the month to month and this comparative, about $500,000, $550,000 greater in the fiscal year to date comparative. Retail doing well, 20% above last September, 7% year to date, about $120,000, and the bulk of that was really driven by the September increase in activity. Parking, we did increase our rates. However, we still are seeing days where we have sold out our parking garage, and it's just arbitrarily in the middle of the week, no real rhyme or reason to an event or to a holiday. We had several instances in September and October where we reached capacity in the garage. Ticket pulls are up 29%, 19% month fiscal year to date. About 17,700 more tickets pulled this fiscal year to date than previous. And we did increase our revenues. So we see the significant increase there, 54%, 43%, about $1 million more revenue collected. But the real driver there is we have more activity, more parkers utilizing our facility. Ground transportation, September was the first month that we had Turo record and report. They reported about $2,400 of revenue to TAIT. They had about $24,000 gross revenue that it generated. So it is a significant driver in our revenues at this point for ground transportation. 38% increase, 34% increase. Both are on the same rate scale. The only difference there is the addition of Turo. We had rental car transaction days were up 16% fiscal year to date. 27,500 more transactions happened in this fiscal year to date than previous. So again, our increased passenger activity is driving all of these numbers up. Operations at RVS increased by 13% and 15% with almost 10,000 more operators utilizing RVS fiscal year to date. Now our fuel flows are down for the month-to-month comparative, but still up. It looks like we have not received reports or zero reports from one of our FBO operators causing that. If we factor in their average, we'd be pretty even to where we were last September at about 160,000 gallons. So we're researching the why behind the reports issue there. And plane passengers, again, like I said, we're 26% higher, the best September we've had since 2007. That carries forth with our comparative of about 60,853 more passengers fiscal year to date utilizing the facility. And cargo is up significantly, 11% with a 7% increase. Looking at our revenue as we go from fiscal year to fiscal year, the top darker orange line is our current fiscal year. We're started out at about $4 million in revenues at the end of June, carried that forth, had a good spike in August of 4.2, but we're maintaining an average of about $4 million in revenues monthly, significantly higher than 2019, which was our banner year for airports. And you can see the early part of 2020 was pretty good as well. Then, the bottom fell out. We don't have to revisit that. But
Thank you.
doing well, kind of carrying that momentum forth from where we ended the fiscal year. And
I think that trend continues going forward.
we've seen a pretty significant increase in activity. So with the holiday season, we're hopeful. January, February are typically our slowest seasons, but that's industry trend. But we think we're gonna have a pretty strong holiday season, which will help increase our revenues and our capacity.
Our capacity for first quarter of 2023 is about 5% up from 2019, so. Assuming the airlines don't make any closer in changes, we'll be at least at, in terms of capacity, at 2019 levels.
And does that factor in the new flights, the added flights we have? Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so any more questions?
Well, are we looking at addressing this parking thing?
We are,
Okay,
we're
I know-
evaluating.
I know we
capacity.
can't do a lot in the short term, but obviously
Right.
if this continues. It's a real good way to.
Currently, we have a portion of our garage that we're utilizing for valet. We're working on relocating valet. That'll open up about 100+ spaces. There's also the rent-a-car area, the staging area for them. We're working on that, recovering that capacity. That's about 100+, 150 more spaces roughly. So with those 200 spaces, that should open up a lot more capacity than we've had in the past. And we're working on relocating valet to another facility, so that's all in the works as well.
Good.
But we see our operating expenses slightly higher than previous years. Again, it's a different world we live in. Everything has gone up, utilities and just everything in general to operate the airport. Looking at our plane passenger trend, we do see we are following that seasonal trend a lot closer to 19 numbers. This calendar year to date, matching June, July, and August very closely. In September, just that significant increase in activity. So we're very happy with that, and we feel October should be close to following the trend as well as the higher months. Looking at our budget to date activity, you can see we're 17% ahead of revenues. The real driver here is our parking. Now, we did budget for the increase in parking revenues. The delta there is our activity. We didn't project our activity being this strong and consistently this strong. We do have our peaks with holidays and fall break and such, but we've really kind of blown that out of the water as far as capacity and activity go. So we see about a $1.3 million increase in our parking and rental car activity. Our air carrier activity is up as well by almost 300,000. And our miscellaneous revenue, which is driven mostly by our CFC fees, is also up significantly, about $143,000 difference there. Operating expenses, we're slightly under budget with our benefits, right at budget with our services, and just $16,000 over budget with our materials and supplies, but still overall 5% down, a $300,000 savings in our budget to actual, opening up a significant amount of capacity to go towards debt service and future projects as well. And that's really where that net goes toward. It alleviates our revenues, our cash on hand from covering debt service, because we're generating more revenue, and it allows us the capacity to plan ahead and plan more appropriately and do a larger volume of projects in the future. As we look at our comparative, again, 16% up. This is more of a drill down of the first two lines from the initial slide. You see our parking activity revenue up significantly by about $1 million there, 1.3 million, and the plane passenger carrier activity up about 160,000. All in all, 1.7 stronger than previous year, and our expenses are coming in about $1 million, 900,000 higher, but our net is still greater than previous by about 800,000. So really happy with the expenses, and we're operating within our operating budget. So we planned accordingly, and we're meeting those goals. Our days of cash on hand, $27.8 million, sitting at about 343 days of cash on hand, a little higher than it was last year, but our activity in October really pushed that forth, carrying that September in. Burn rate is the same. We're calculating it based on budget. We still have some fiscal year left. Covering our debt service 4 months in, we don't see any issues with our revenues and our cash on hand to cover debt service. And we're sitting about almost $2 million in our reserve fund ahead of our debt for the fiscal year. So all in all, a really good, strong financial position to start the fiscal year.
Very good. Any questions for Todd? Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to administrative and finance and items number 3 and 4. You want those together? These are what we received last year, isn't it? Oh, last month. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
number 3 is.
So number 3 we'll take by itself. So this is recommend approval of an amendment to our human resources policy manual to remove an evening and overnight shift differential rates from items A and B below. So, and the reason for that is currently our shift diff rates are 40 cents and 60 cents. So by removing it from the TAIT human resources policy manual, it allows us to look at changing those in the future to match market rates to retain and attract talent.
Yeah, I think what we were trying to accomplish too is just taking out the details, making the policy there, but really leaving the flexibility to be able to make those changes. We don't know yet what those are going to be. We know that they haven't changed in like 20 plus years, so there's going to be a change in the future, but this just gives us some flexibility.
Yeah, so we recommend approval of item number 3.
Recommend approval. Any questions? Okay, item 3, move approval.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now 4, 5, and 6, I guess can be treated.
Okay.
together.
4, 5, and 6. So number 4 is receive and consider amendment to our human resources policy manual in regards to our summary of benefits. What we've done is we've added a dependent care match, is what we're providing for your consideration. The dependent care match will be up to $2,500 per employee. And so this is going to be for anybody that has children or if they are paying for dependent care costs.
For an aging
For
parent,
an aging parent, yeah.
yeah.
And so that is the change there. Item number 5 and item number 6 are similar to what Alexis talked about with removing rates. So item number 5 is we currently offer a safety shoe or boot allowance. And what this change does is remove the reimbursement rates from the policy. Item number 6 is to receive and consider a change, and this will actually be a new benefit for our employees that adds in a allowance for prescription safety glasses. So every 2 years, we would provide an allowance to for employees that have to wear safety glasses as part of their job function so they can get prescription glasses.
Any questions?
This doesn't require a vote.
This doesn't require,
right.
no, this is just a.
Receive.
Yeah, in the window. I would get to. Item number 7.
Item number 7 is for you all to receive and consider an amendment to the TAIT leasing policy and procedures. Specifically our brokers commission to change from a 2% broker commission to a 2.5% broker commission. This is putting us more in line with what the Port of Catoosa is doing today, Tulsa Ports. We also reached out to several airports in the region to see how competitive we were. And 2.5 was kind of the standard if they have any at all. So we just wanted to align ourselves to make us more competitive as we go out and work with developers and look to develop our property.
This is something that has to be set in our policy. Is that why? Or
So we have always preferred it to be in the policy because it takes the ambiguity out from a broker's perspective and lets them know what the rate is. As Andrew mentioned in the research that his team did, there are airports out there that do not define what that benefit is. And they negotiate it for each agreement. Our policy makes this optional. It says we may provide, so it's not that we have to, it's still at our board's discretion. But I think from a development perspective, it provides us a little bit of leverage to say, no, this is what we're doing.
You're
and
gonna hang your hat on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
yeah,
Gives you a backstop too.
yeah.
Move approval number 7.
Well, it's just to receive, so we'll bring it back,
Receive back.
you know, for our policy. Yeah,
We're gonna receive it and we're gonna.
There you go.
thank you, but we'll do this next month.
Number 8, we're actually gonna get to vote on, all right.
Okay, yes. The meeting to vote. So much receiving.
No.
Okay, so accept bid and award contract to Kalima LLC doing business as KMF for an air conditioning unit to be installed in the airfield lighting vault. In an amount not to exceed $79,180. Our capital budget for this item was budgeted for $75,000 under customer experience. The makeup and the difference will actually be okay because we've saved money and other items in the capital budget under customer experience. And what this does is it will prolong the life of our airfield lighting vault by keeping it cool. Today, we don't have the right resources out there to keep it cool during the summer months. So we're basically pulling in cooler air outside, which could be over 100 degrees, pushing out the hotter air inside. And so this is really focused on reliability of our equipment. So management recommend approval of this bid.
Any questions? Your motion,
Move approval. Number 8.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item number 9,
Actually, I'd like to take item 9 and 10 together, and I apologize, there will be no vote on these either.
I was noticing that. There's a lot of excitement going on.
Item 9 is received for initial consideration, a draft Gulf International Airport 5-year capital improvement plan for the years 2024 through 2028. This new capital improvement plan contains 18 projects totaling just under $101 million. Item 10 is received for initial consideration, draft Tulsa Riverside Airport 5-year CIP for the same years 2024 through 2028. This CIP contains 7, not 8. There's an error there. Totaling just under $13 million. If you would like, well, I believe these were sent in an email on Tuesday.
Yes.
And Fabio sent them. If you had any questions or have any questions between now and December board meeting, please let me know. I will be bringing these back to you in December for approval. If you would like, I'll go through some of the earlier projects for the next fiscal year. Or we can move on. It's up to y'all.
I think all of us had a chance to look at that, and we've got questions for Claudia.
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay. Sounds good. So then,
We'll receive both 9 and 10. Number 11. Nobody's on number 11.
Item 11, you'll be able to vote on. Except pending amendment to FAA AIP grant. This is a Riverside grant, 034-2021, in the amount up to $45,000. This is kind of a unique grant. Basically, in 2021, the FAA was funding grants 100%. We knew we were going to do a taxi lane or taxiway connection project between taxiway Alpha and the main runway at Riverside. I wanted to go ahead and get a grant in effect in 2021 to take advantage of the 100% FAA. It was an estimated dollar amount for the design. The original grant was in the amount of $333,333. Because that was an 100% funded, we could only amend up to $300,000 of that grant. That amendment, we can increase that by 15%. That's where the $45,000 came from. We designed the taxiways on the north side of 1331 because we knew that that area would not change. We knew south of 1331 or crosswind would change some, but we wanted to run that through the master plan study so that we could get the new geometry and then ask the consultant to give us a fee for those more specific locations. They did. the combined phase one and phase two design fees were in excess of this grant plus the amendment by $14,000. So basically, TAIT share would be $14,000 of,
45,000.
well, of the entire project, might as well say. So we're looking at 3.7% versus the 10% if this was a standard grant. I apologize, that was a long description, but I wanted to let you know what was going on. And now comes your time, the airport recommends approval of item 11.
Asking for approval. You're just trying to make up for those last two.
I am, yes, sir.
Item 11, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything? No.
Item 12 is related to item 11. Item 12 is accept selection and approve award a contract for professional design services to Olson Incorporated in amount not to exceed $107,400 for the Riverside Taxiway Connector Phase 2 project. As I said, phase 1 were the taxiways north of the crosswind, phase 2 is taxiways south of the crosswind. Management recommends approval of item 12.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 13.
Item 13 is amend contract for professional consultant services with Leo A. Daly in amount not to exceed $121,550 for the design design of the air traffic control tower and associated facility. In 2021, you selected Leo A. Daly to do the design of the new tower. We at that point were not sure if the FAA would require us to do a wind tunnel analysis on the tower. So I chose not to put that in the design. I didn't want to put it in there if we weren't sure. Now the FAA is saying, yes, we're going to need to do it. That is $88,000 of this. The other $65,000 of this amendment has to do with the terminal facility design standards. The FAA changed the standards that we have to meet. When we originally signed a contract with Leo Daly, they said version 1 is what you're going to be using. January of this year, we had a kickoff meeting. The FAA was saying, we are now in version 1.1, but don't worry about it. You can continue to use version 1. Now that the FAA has signed all the paperwork, reimbursable agreement, gotten on board with starting to review the drawings, they're saying that version 2 was adopted.
Before they signed,
Thank you, before they signed a contract or the reimbursable agreement. So now, by less than a couple of weeks. So now they're saying, you've got to meet version 2. What that does, version 2 is requiring the consultant to do additional calculations to provide that to the FAA to make sure that the tower won't fall over. So we are discussing this with the FAA. Don't know that we're going to get anywhere with the FAA, but I wanted to get this on the agenda so that we can cut the consultant free so that we don't lose any more time. So management recommend approval of item 13.
Okay, is FAA gonna pay for this increase that they're mandating? This is another unfunded mandate.
this is the long list of frustrations that we've
Yes,
had with this
right.
project with the FAA. As Frank said, he's been working through the channels to basically challenge their finding that we had to go with version 2. I've had some conversations with our ADO office about it as well. I think we will continue to advocate for their support of this project in a meaningful way. We did submit a grant application for $20 million. And hopefully early next year, we'll find out if we were successful in that effort. The FAA is going to put some skin in the game on this project. I feel strongly about that, but it seems ridiculous that we're jumping through hoops that they are, in my opinion, seem to artificially create. So, we're working through that, but it is, it is an obstacle to us to being able to proceed, and we want to be able to proceed because we don't want to lose any more time, so.
Charlie said, but we'd be so proud
What's that?
Yes.
of our conversation about this. We
Yes.
needed these things unfunded.
Yeah.
But move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion item 13 is approved. Item 14.
Item 14 is to approve the agreement regarding the location of the sanitary sewer line among the city of Tulsa, TAIT, and AT&T Communication. Regarding the sewer line to be located on Mingo property subleased by AT&T.
Move approval 14.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 15.
Item 15 is to approve the mutual termination of sublease and license agreement with Alpha Medical Laboratory LLC effective October 31st, 2022. This is the COVID-19 testing facility that we had in baggage claim B. Their volume had significantly reduced, and we've made a decision to mutually terminate that agreement, and they are no longer operating at the airport.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 16.
Item 16 is to approve the right of entry for Oklahoma Natural Gas Company effective date November 10th, 2022 for extension of a natural gas supply line at Tulsa Riverside Airport.
Move approval 16.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 16 is approved. Item 17.
Item 17 is to approve the sublease agreement with Christensen Aviation LLC for 5 years effective December 1st, 2022 for the north half of tie down block 7 and all of tie down block 8 southwest commercial area of RBS.
Motion?
Move approval 17.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
18 is a little more controversial.
Yes, number 18 is to consider and approve termination of sublease agreement with Frank Montero for default of terms of the sublease agreement. RVS hangar B68. We brought this to your attention last month's board meeting, just a little bit of background again. Initial email contact was made to the tenant at the beginning of August with no response. We sent a notification by certified mail on September 13th. Letting the tenant know that the hangar would be inspected on the 23rd at 10 a.m. The tenant did not show up. We sent a letter of default on September 27th via certified mail. Due to the no showing, the tenant responded on the 29th saying that he missed the inspection due to having COVID. So then we let him know that he had 30 days to cure the default. And we set up an inspection at the end of October. Which the tenant then no showed as well, and responded to us saying he was out of town. Then at the beginning of November, we sent a process server as well as certified mail to give a notification that we were coming in to do the inspection. And we weren't able to get a hold of him or find him.
This just keeps going on.
Yeah, it's one of those things that really would take 10 minutes to cure. I mean, all it does is give us access so we can make sure there's an airplane in the hangar and it's used for its intended purpose. This tenant has a history of being challenging. And so I think, at some point we're gonna have to make a decision, and that's what we're asking you guys to consider today. Whether or not we are going to continue to provide an exception to our policies and allow him to be the only tenant at the airport that is not required to meet the same requirements that everybody else has met. Now, he has communicated with us. He said he had COVID. He said he was out of town because he was taking care of his sick parents. But at the same time, his emails come from the library. So we know he's in town because they come from the Tulsa County Library. So I would say it's not an easy thing to do. It's never something that we want to come to you and ask you to consider. Part of me thinks Jeff isn't here and Jeff could provide some of the legal background that I think is an important consideration of this. He's been working very closely with our attorneys. So my recommendation today is that we defer this until next month. It gives us a little more time to make sure that we've considered all of our legal options. It gives our tenant more time to comply. And then we'll bring it back to you in December for consideration, if that is okay with you.
We have gone overboard.
Since I've been on the board, I bet this is the fourth or fifth time, maybe sixth time. I
At
mean,
least three.
it's,
I'm
every
sorry,
year
but
we
I
have.
think we just moved forward. This has gone on long enough. We went to arbitration, we've been in lawsuits. I'm sorry, and the litany you just gave us is just another long list of things we tried to do. And I think there's some point we gotta draw the line and say this line in the sand will stand, and I think we need to do it now.
I agree with everything you said. I mean, he certainly has, not been cooperative. But,
Well, I mean, I've actually reached out, tried asking.
yeah,
And we won't talk to them.
yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to,
You
Do
said
18
something.
or I'll-
He sends, how do we know he sends emails from the library?
Because it says it in
It
the
says
email.
it's-
The email online says it's from the library computer.
Oh, really?
Mhm. I don't know.
Public
exactly-
computers are, yeah.
I didn't realize I've never seen any.
He's. Hey,
You've
so
always
should-
heard of a computer, haven't you?
Should we just clarify? He scans his documents there. And they send them from the scanner.
Oh, I
Scan documents at the library. This is a whole PSA for them
Yeah.
right now. Yeah. Great, thank you.
Mhm.
I'll entertain a motion either way, but my personal opinion is we should go ahead.
I concur. I'll make a motion.
Are you okay?
Second.
18, all those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
None. We have no executive session, no new tech business, no TAA business, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Done. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here today.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Have a happy Thanksgiving, although I'll